Hi and welcome to this video on Destiny 2. This video is covering why you should play this game that is a unique masterpiece. I don't know exactly how I'm going to word it. I'm going to have to figure out the exact fine-tuned wordage for that title, but this game is a masterpiece. Each class has completely different ways they play. Each class is completely balanced and all these different things that I'm going to cover in the video. But first, I am playing my hunter as a or as a playthrough, but that is not needed. That is not needed for your information, but it is needed because I'm going to be covering Warlock and Titan primarily for this video because of that. Because I have everything on my Warlock and my Titan, just not my hunter because I'm playing through it all over again. And that's why it's kind of needed, but not really all that needed for the playthrough purposes. Just I don't have everything for my hunter. But to show off flavoring and maximum just how to put this colors, this game is very color coded, where there is purple, there's green, there's orange, there is blue, dark blue. Each one of those colors all have a different meaning and different purpose on how they actually function in gameplay. Like for an example, you see the ball change to different colors for that warlock or the warlock thing there. All of those are different elements that do different things that actually affect the battlefield in all sorts of different ways, and each class can tap into each element in a different way, which you're about to see after I'm not talking about all this, is speed clips in the Grasp of Avarice. It is speed clips because I'm actually editing them, and I have already edited them technically, uh, for how this functions. It's going to show off Prismatic, which is the newest subclass, but not really. I'm going to get into that later because of how it actually functions, and this game is based off of visual storytelling, and that's what I'm actually going to cover later. But it is going to be Warlock and then Titan, and then you're going to see me technically later today. I'm talking about that because timey-wimey is just fun when editing. I already edited most of this already. I'm just trying to get the actual conversation bits into the video right now. So with all that said, shown and done, I hope this shows off at least why you should buy at least a DLC. But this video is also going to be covering free to play, non free to play, just the overall experience of this game and how even free to play players will have easy methods to just make good builds, fight in PvP, fight in PvE, play higher in content, just do anything they want to, and compete with people that have actually spent hundreds of dollars in this game. And to clarify, I am one of those people that have spent hundreds of dollars in this game. I have bought the yearly for each year, so it is $100 per, and that is the yearly. It gives me all the DLC or all the expansions or episodes, seasons. Those two are the correct words, but all the different things that come out in the year. So I just buy that 100 and then I get everything, even though the base DLC for that year is like 50 to $30 around there. So it's bang for my buck, and I'm actually going to cover bang for your buck as well, because that is another thing in this game. Now, I hope you enjoy the pretty colors. Now, with all those pretty colors out the way, the first thing I really, really want to cover is pricing. Like I ended off the last talking bit. Pricing is the biggest thing about this game, with how you can technically spend hundreds of bucks in this game and not spend a dime on cosmetics, technically. Um, but okay, first starting with the cosmetics, because cosmetics are one of the biggest talking points in any game. Cosmetics do not just you're not just buying one cosmetic unless you're buying something like that's the Cerberus. I'm getting that. Okay, I do not buy a lot of cosmetics because I typically spend Bright Dust, which Bright Dust itself is free, and that is one of the cosmetic things. I do not really look at the store because the store isn't really something I need to look at, except for the Bright Dust store, which changes weekly. That and you can see weekly because that's 17 hours. Um, it's almost Tuesday for or wait no, it is actually today's Monday. Today is Monday, so yeah, tomorrow's Tuesday. Sorry, I don't really keep track of the weekdays because that's not something that I really need to. Um, Now going back to this is $7, and the reason why I do want to get that, which it's all perspective based, pricing's perspective based, except for something like this, which you are getting each individual piece. And sorry about that bit there. That was actually a genuine reaction. I genuinely love that, and I will show off why I love that gun, but or like that gun cosmetic. But um, when you are buying, say, a $20 pack, because that is $20, think of every 100 as a dollar. When you are buying $20 packs, you're not buying one skin. You're not buying like from Overwatch, Marvel Rivals. You're not buying one skin. You are buying multiple skins. You are buying multiple pieces of armor that can be put on any cosmetic you want with the ability to then shade them. That shaders change fundamentals. Like you can have flowing textures, you can have all sorts of different things that change the texture of it, how it overall works, how it just looks. It's gorgeous how shaders function. Excuse me, I had to rub there. So imagine all the different combinations you can get for free, because there is free ways to get cosmetics. Like that's actually all free that you see here and free to play, just the cosmetics only. Don't actually know about the Seraphim cloak though. That might be free. But overall, you have so many different cosmetic choices for free, and that is the biggest thing about currency, about money, and different things like that. And something cool about cosmetic pieces, the reason why I really, really want to and will actually buy that gun cosmetic is because the gun itself is Cerberus plus one. I call Cerberus plus one I call him Cerberus because Serby is very, very funny. Primarily because of the name itself, Cerberus plus one. Cerberus is a three-headed dog that guards hell. Plus one because there's four barrels. Each barrel shoots basically like a shotgun blast that does unique things like its damage fall off is actually reversed, where the farther away it does more damage, and little things like that. This gun is genuinely just Destiny in a nutshell. Um, but if you noticed how this looks, the reason why I really like cosmetics in this game is because if you notice how this looks, this is how it looks. It's very rustic, very put together, just slapped together. But I genuinely don't like that. I love the gun. The gun itself is genuinely gorgeous. Just that looks purpose built, and the fact that it looks like a gun from Bulletstorm. Or just one of those heavily just shoot everything. I just noticed the doggos. Yeah, I'm buying that. I'm buying that. It's double sided. Hell yeah. Um, I love infinite ammo shotgun. Just boiling it down, it's a shotgun with infinite reserve ammo. Because if you didn't know, and I am going to get to guns, primary weapons have infinite reserve ammo. All you have to do is reload it. So the fact that it shoots like a shotgun and does decent shotgun-esque damage in PvP and PvE, depending on how you want to use it, it's basically an infinite ammo shotgun. So the fact that it's death plus infinity is fucking gorgeous. It's beautiful. Um, oh, they even have what the hell? I'm sorry, like I said, I don't really look into this stuff. And it moves! Oh, that's gorgeous! You actually can stab things with that. If you did not know, that's actually a change, and it's part of its catalyst that allows you to actually stab things with, in this look, a chain blade. But its base look, I actually like more than that, because it's base look. And I'm just talking about cosmetics. I'm not actually worried about the guns, and I'll actually get into gunplay and builds later, just to clarify. Because the base gun itself is like my favorite look for it, except for this. And keep in mind, each bit is, or each 100 is about $1. So think of it like that when I'm showing off all these different cosmetic pieces. But my favorite is actually, oh, I actually have that unlocked. This. I thought I didn't actually buy that. Or I didn't buy it. I believe I got it from Bright Dust. But yeah, this is just really, really good looking. It's very sleek. And the fact that the scope actually looks different. Just all of it is just really, really good. Now, the last bit about currency and money and monetary. First, this game is a MMO grindathon. You are going to be anything you buy, and I'm going to talk about different things you can buy, about like different DLCs, things you can buy, and different things like that. But each, that does not actually have a dungeon. That has a dungeon, but the exotic is guaranteed if you do something specific. Raids and dungeons. Oh, that's actually a good example. Vesperosa is a very crazy exotic. So does that. Both of these exotics, and the exotics are the things you're really going to be going after week by week, because you can only get. Okay, this game is an MMO. You're only able to go through it once a week per character, unless it is the grindable raid, the grindable raid or and dungeon. But both is either the newest one, like this one, I can continuously redo and redo and redo for loot, but I don't think I can go for the exotic. The exotic itself is once per character, but each raid and dungeon has so many different things you can get in it besides just the exotic. There's different weapons, had different roles, different frames, archetypes, and all sorts of shit. Like this has area denial frame in it. In other words, one of these, which is very unique and allows a different synergy depending on what you're wanting to do. And the fact that I believe it's void allows you to synergize it with like volatile rounds, which allows you to do some crazy things. Volatile rounds, the easiest proc. There we go. Volatile rounds is very handy and does a whole lot of things like anti-barrier rounds, for an example, allows you to shoot through shields of any type. And in PvP, you're able to destroy them even, or destroy like barricades, specifically these, a hell of a lot faster. And I believe other placeables like stasis crystals, the little void dude that the warlocks can spawn, different things like that. Like it allows you to destroy things a hell of a lot faster, and there's other ways to proc anti-barrier rounds. Just volatile with, or volatile rounds gives you anti-barrier. Just to clarify. Um, but because that would be void, it would allow you to proc both and work off of both and just generally do a whole lot with it. I don't know if it would actually be able to shoot through shields and stuff because it is a weird functioning gun, but that's just because I haven't really played with it. Uh, Now, on the monetary side of things, because that is the monetary and time management, this is monetary in what you can actually purchase, the things you kind of need to, air quotations, the expansions. Each expansion, like this, for an example, I believe is like $15 now because it's a pack, not an expansion. That is its own thing, more of an expansion than a pack. That's an entire expansion, but it, okay, sorry. The reason why I was saying that about different packs and stuff is because Destiny 2 prices expansions off of what you get. That's why this became $15 instead of the 40 it was to begin with, and that was also kind of cheap compared to what you get because it actually prices per the what you get. Like for an example, one of the most expensive expansions, if I remember correctly, was the Witch Queen and the Final Shape. Like those are one of the most expensive ones recently because of how they function and the amount of shit you get into them. Like I think that works. I think that one was like $60 and that one was like 40, but they're actually comparable and different things like it. Pricing is varying depending on expansion. Basically, is what I'm wanting to say. But each expansion gives you different things. Like for an example, I did talk about this a little bit in the previous bit the different symbols. These are Red War, this is Curse of Osiris, Warmind, this is Forsaken. These are the different things you can also get in the Forsaken pack because you have to buy that to get the seasonal things. Because this is part of the Forsaken year, so is this, all the way up until Where's the Shadow Keep symbol? There isn't a kinetic one. If I remember correctly, that was in the Forsaken, not Forsaken, Shadow Keep year. So was that. Yeah, okay. To get that, you have to buy Shadowkeep, I believe. And just to clarify, the Shadowkeep symbol. Oh, wait. That's not the Shadow. Yep, I was right. That was in the Shadowkeep bit, so that's also Shadowkeep. Cool. That is the seasonal picture, which is why I was a little bit confused, because the actual picture for Shadowkeep. Actually, I should be able to go to weapons. There should actually be an auto that I actually really enjoy. I'm sorry, the symbols themselves are actually really necessary to understand how this game functions, because off a glance you can easily tell what things are. Arcologic, that's the newest rule. Where's the old rule? And arcologic, as in this gun, that's the newest symbol for when it got reintroduced with new rolls and all sorts of things that completely change it. But where's the old arcologic? Why to show off that symbol? Shit, I thought that was simple. Um, and that itself won't let me. Shit. It's very distinct, very unique, and that symbol itself shows off what you can get in that expansion, different things like that. You know, each symbol throughout the season of that year for each expansion pack. But for an example, and the reason why I was talking about Forsaken specifically is because with the Forsaken pack, you're able to get all sorts of different exotics, and each exotic changes fundamentals, and they are different ways to play the game. And every exotic is different ways to play the game. But like for an example, with the Forsaken pack, you're able to get 3 exotic weapons for free, guaranteed. And I mean for free, like it gives you 3 tokens. You can go to a place and spend them to get 3 exotics of your choice. But those 3 exotics change complete. Like they are build crafting in of themselves. La Monarch and if you use Le Monarch and you like the idea of Le Monarch because this is entire thing, if you like the idea, keep in mind it itself is a scummy weapon to an extent in PvP. It's never really been a scummy weapon. There's always been so much worse, but people complain about it because it's basically guaranteed kills if you know how to use it properly. But that's the thing if you know how to use it. Every weapon is basically guaranteed kills if you know how to use it because of TTKs that have always been in this game. TTK as in time to kill. I'm talking about PvP because PvP is where you get the most complaints and everything like that. PvE, use whatever you want. PvP, there's varying degrees of bullshit. Like shotguns, they are just guaranteed kills and different things like PvP is a shitstorm, but logical shitstorm, basically. But you're able to get that. You're able to get, or you can get 3 of these. So keep this in mind. You're able to get this and this, which is basically the guaranteed sniper, or basically a guaranteed sniper, one of the most hilarious weapons, and everyone dubs it the toaster because of what it actually does. Why does it only say? Why does it say 0 in the magazine? That's weird. Um, but yeah, you're able to get all sorts of different weapons. I don't want to get into each one, but each one does so many different things, and with that, you're meant to figure out what you like. And segueing that, which is why I was wanting to talk about that, the ways that you, specifically you, can play in this game. And I'm going to cover some free, some not so free ways to play this game, and I'm going to cover what is free and what isn't, because this game is completely designed around how you want to play. There's no such thing as medicine, no such thing as god rolls, no such thing as a whole lot of things, except for unique instances like when Jotun first came out. It was guaranteed kills if you have it on target slightly in specific ranges, but I'm adaptable. I realized very rapidly how to fight it, but I had to be on completely on my shit, ready to go, doing that to counter it. But even then, if they're on target well enough, they can counter what I'm trying to do, which there's some back and forth there, which is pretty cool. But it was basically I'm on the back foot, they have advantage, I have to fight around their advantage. In that entire this was busted. But there's only certain instances of specific exotics being busted. There's never been a role that's just busted. Even when there was the SMG that had target lock, I'm not going to go into that because that's not really needed, but the SMG that had target lock, they made target lock itself get nerfed. It wasn't actually that much more busted than any other weapon if you knew how to fight around target lock, because you needed to have it on target, not missing a single shot, to have target lock actually build up. So if you made them miss a single shot, they're not going to build it up and kill you. So there's workarounds, build arounds, and ways to fight. Even if you think it is the meta, it typically isn't. Now, going into that section when my voice feels a little bit better. It's been a little bit since the last bit, but I do need to get this done, and my voice isn't 100%, so I'm just going to get this done. Sorry about my voice. Now, first, this game has. Okay, first, this entire build is free. The armor technically isn't free, like that one isn't, but armor doesn't matter. It is the stats for each armor piece. The helmet is free. That is free. That is technically also free, but I don't. Okay, if you buy the 30th anniversary, you'll be able to get that shotgun easier, but you can still get that shotgun for free. That is the only one that isn't free because that is, I believe, a raid reward. But everything else is free. So there is that with this build, but the main thing with this build, and I am going to cover non-free builds, is how it flows. Now, in Destiny 2, when it comes to gameplay, it is about making your build flow from exotic to exotic, and with each individual armor piece or weapon piece and armor piece. Each piece flows together, and this is going to be the most nitty gritty part of this entire thing. Now, starting off with the subclass. Each subclass or each class has the same subclasses. There's a solar subclass for Titan, Hunter, and Warlock. There's a Void, there's an Arc, so on and so on. But each class can use each element in a different way. Titan is the Titan is the soldier. Warlock is the space wizard, and Hunter is the Devil May Cry protagonist, where they're able to build them up, knock them down, that general thing. Where each class has their own niche, their own way to play with each subclass, but overall they are very good and very balanced. If you watch anything besides this video on Destiny 2, people typically say Titan's bad, Titan's a punchaholic, and all these different things. Titan, if you play Titan right, is as much punch, little bit more, depending on what you're doing, punch than the other classes. Because keep in mind, your punch is your melee ability. Your melee ability can range for Titan from typical shoulder charge, and there's a lot of different versions of shoulder charge, to decent range. Each subclass has a different way to have different melees. Like that is basically a shoulder charge, but always uses the charge. That is a shoulder charge, and that is its own unique thing. Each subclass has their own unique melees, even each class. Same with the grenades, to an extent. Um, Kind of. Prismatic has unique grenades per class, but every other class has, or every other subclass has the same grenades, same fragments. The only things that are different are these three, this, and these, just to clarify. But each one can build into even grenades differently depending on each one. Like for an example, this build is basing off of this. This is the main gimmick for this entire build because of what this gives. And you're going to see multiple instances of Sunspot, Sol Invictus, and just the overall things that this does. And keep in mind that is a benefit and a detriment to you and your opponents. Where it's a detriment to them, benefit to you because it does damage, does all sorts of things, and it's just pretty. So overall, it's a very good thing. And then I have this to benefit everything else. Now, here's a little bit of nitty gritty about this. This actually allows you to play Scorch on Punch, on uncharged Punch specifically, where you don't actually have to use your melee ability. And even on console, you should have different buttons for both. So you can always press one when you need to. I'll actually get into buttons a little bit later, because that is really nitty gritty. And I have been fiddling with buttons on console a whole lot, and I do actually have paddles now to allow me to have extra buttons, kind of. Not really extra buttons, because I can't even map two of the same, or two buttons to the same paddle. It's very balanced. A DualSense Wireless Edge is what I've been using. I have multiple videos on it if you want to see those, or you can just look it up on your own because it's actually really balanced and really good. And it is actually the future of console gaming, complete and utterly for what it actually does. Some things aren't good, like the things next to the triggers, but I'm not going to get into that more than what I just did. But this plus this actually work to allow you to, instead of, I believe, having to hit a target 4 times, you can hit them 3 times to cause the ignition, which sounds weird, but sometimes hitting the fourth hit will kill them and not, or hitting them the fourth hit will just kill them and not cause the ignition. So hitting them 3 times instead will allow you to cause the ignition, which will give you AoE damage and all these different things. Um, this works off of that, and this works off of everything else, including my primary. This is just benefits on top of everything else because that just allows me to have everything. Because I believe that also procs on yourself as well, not just allies. But the more allies you give it to, the faster you get it. Which is why I have 2 builds, one basically based off of that, the other based off of, or the healing aspect and the damage aspect of Solar. Because Solar can do both and has really good uh, capabilities and applications of both. And I will get into that as well because that is almost free build. But I won't be able to show that off as well because I do need another person to heal to show it off. Nothing there I can actually use on myself except for that grenade, which is the healing grenade. If you actually want to show that off, here you go. Each one of these pieces are very handy and flows, and this is just the subclass alone. Each piece flows together, even for an example, the wall here. I picked for the base cooldown and how big it is and different things like that to allow me to have ease of use with this. And this is the second bit, and okay, when you're looking at exotics, always go into the details menu because off face value, you won't see most of what this actually does. Please read this. This is the main gimmick. Because, for an example, that alone, the sunspot generation, allows me to basically be immortal if I use it properly. That's the big thing, properly, with a lot of these exotics. Same with this. This has a proper way to use it. Hipfire and ADS separately. Because Hipfire allows you to have that Scorch, but ADS allows you to have guaranteed long range damage with that same, or less so, AoE, with, because it's actually a projectile weapon, no damage drop off in PvE and PvP for Hipfire and ADS to allow you to have guaranteed damage across the board. And keep in mind, in PvP, Scorch might not do a whole lot of damage, but it basically gives you wall hacks. So if you apply Scorch once, it's a constant 1-1-1-1-1. I think at that rate actually, so it's 1-1-1-1-1 as they're moving. So you see the damage values moving, so you can know where they're going. That general thing, which is why this is actually good in PvP as well. Now, the reason why I have that is because it's just fun. Really, that's about it. I don't play games for good. I play games for fun. This is really a fun role, not necessarily a good role. Better roles exist, but that is just absolute maximum fun. Um, and better rules exist for what you might want to do. Like, that's not even good for ad clear comparatively to other ad clear roles I get. That is just maximum rocket. Because I have 4 shots in this 1-shot magazine. And to clarify how this functions, how I have 4 shots is because that base magazine is 2 with that. And then that gives me double magazine. So I actually have 4. Just to clarify. Um, and something kind of cool about Reconstruction is that you can actually use that while you have it equipped or while you have it in your hand, unlike auto-loading holster and different things like that, where you actually have to have it in your pocket. Show it off there. Um, and the last bit of this build, at least with weapons and pretty simple, is this. That mixed with Roaring Flames and the ability to apply Scorch, which the Scorch itself, if I kill them, will allow me to get a Sunspot, all pairing together to allow that to just be an instant give me a Sunspot and die at the same time. That because it allows me to move and just synergy with everything else because this is a movement-based build. Most of my builds are movement-based because I really, really like movement and I fight in the Titan range of not melee, but more auto rifle range. You'll see I will actually show off a clip after all this of a high-end area or a high-end mode that I can do solo so I can show off how I like fighting and how things generally flow for how I play Titan. And I do think, not egotistically here, that I am the best Titan because I play Titan the best. I have not seen anyone else actually play Titan properly, including with strafe lift. Each lift has their own pros and cons, but no one actually uses strafe lift, even though strafe lift allows me to move as well as you see me move. Now going into the actual combat, or before I do that, because I forgot to talk about the mods. Each mod is pretty self-explanatory, like Charged Up is the only thing that isn't, but extra armor stacks, which allows me to do all these different things even faster. This is meant to be team-oriented, and most of my builds are team-oriented, even though I never have a team. And do keep in mind, this area is very low end, so it's not really that good to show how powerful this build is, but it is good to show off how this build functions. Just to clarify, it's basically maximum rev versus not so maximum rev. And I do talk with my hands, or I was talking with the right hand, which is why you didn't see my head move, technically. But this is maximum go, basically, which is why I'm able to just shoot him twice. This area is also free. It is one of the first areas you can actually go to allow you to do a whole lot of cool things. So basically trying to show off how you can have a very good build for free. And also, with Titan, don't forget you can use your supers to actually maneuver, and because of how supers and everything got really changed recently, you can do some crazy things. Because you can also do these things in PvP. And I say that because PvP, if you know what you're doing as a Titan, you are the go-to, or you are basically the Wolverine from Marvel Rivals. If they see you, they have to kill you before they die themselves. Think of it like that, because Titan can get anywhere they want to, when they want to. Just to show that off, that was on purpose. Same with getting over here. They can get where they want to, when they want to. Sure, it's not the speediest or really what the other classes can give you, but it's guaranteed where you want to go if you're good with it. And with it, as in Strafelift, I never, ever, ever take off Strafelift because of this overall ease of use and guaranteed motion. Now, to talk about, or to show off how the motion works, pretty simply, it's on the arc of your jump. If you double tap because of the speed, you're going to go straight up. If you tap and wait for you to go down a little bit, you're going to do that. That was on the upper end of the arc. You're going to stay put, basically, if you tap it right. Different things like that. How this game works, even with every movement, is the exact same. It is on the arc of your jump and the momentum, specifically. Momentum really plays a part, specifically with the strafe lifts, or strafe movement, because there's strafe for every class, but the strafe for Hunter is different and different things like that. But each one has their own ways to move. Hunters have jumps, warlocks have glides, titans have lifts. Think of them as warlocks float, hunters jump, titans propel. Kind of thing. And to actually show off actually good gameplay, or higher end, to show off how this actually functions, I'm going to go to an area that is not free. It is actually the newest campaign destination, which is simultaneously a drug trip, trippy, and just fun. All of those are three different things, but also an absolute nostalgic trip without actually being nostalgic. It touches on it just enough, and it's gorgeous how it functions and more. And I'm talking about all this because this is a cool destination and you're going to see some cool things. This first area you're going to see is actually the Tree of Silver Wings-ish. That is a massive lore thing. Look it up if you want to. But the Tree of Silver Wings is actually not this. This is a... Oh, wait, no. Never mind. Wrong area. That was over that way. This area is the area you're actually going to spawn into if you're the New Light. This is literally the first place you're going to spawn in. This is the Cosmodrome, technically. Like over there, if you look that way, Cosmodrome. If you look that way, not so much. That's why it's nostalgic, but not, which is absolutely gorgeous. This is basically, as the developer described it, Alice in Wonderland, basically. And right there showed off how much damage I was doing comparatively, so it's actually a pretty good show. This is like on par combat. But think of it like that. When you can be under or overpowered for it, this is more on par. Because this game does function right now off of power. And that is a big thing. This game has a lot of right nows, because this game is basically going to be a Destiny 3 in a year-ish. Not even a year, actually. Like, To clarify, at the end of this episode, whenever Act 3 ends, you will actually, me, you, whoever plays this game, will actually experience Destiny 3 basically without the name. Because Frontiers is going to open up the door for exploration, combat, everything. Bungie has learned to keep their cards close to their chest and not actually show what they're doing. But Bungie is also very good at wordage and overall visual storytelling. So, I am just waiting for actual what is going to happen in Frontiers, because even this this expansion from the ground up has shown off and revved up and up and up for what we're going to get in Frontiers. And Frontiers is a codename, I believe, not the actual expansion or anything like that. Like, this game is going to just get better, and this game by itself is already fucking gorgeous. Um, but to show off more gameplay, and that is part of the destination and campaign, which is why I'm not worried about that. But to show off more of the combat and overall movement, everything's like that, I'm going to keep kicking some ass. Because that is the biggest thing about this, is the combat and the overall flow. Because keep in mind, this is one build. That's all this is one build using one subclass in one way, when I could be using any subclass any way that each subclass can allow me to, which is the beauty about how this game functions. Like, for an example, I love playing Hunter, Warlock, and my Titan all kind of equally to an extent. Kind of, because I do still really prefer my Titan, but I can be a good Hunter, good Warlock, good really any class I want to. I just prefer Titan, because the overall flexibility, movement, and just general gameplay of what Titan can allow me to do. And that was my hammer exploding. If I actually pick that back up, I'll be able to keep it going. But something kind of cool about that, if you didn't know, if you have two hammer bros, as in two titans using the same subclass with the same melee, one titan, and I have no clue where this would actually be applicable, but you can group up side by side and basically hug each other. When you are in that radius, if one Titan bro tosses their hammer away, the other Titan bro hits off the ally's head, you can actually share one hammer while the other hammer is getting tossed, and you can basically have guaranteed explosions in the field infinitely if you do that properly. Which is pretty interesting, and I don't know where that's applicable, but that's something you technically can do. And just have fun with it. And to show off what I mean by actually using supers for movement, even though that kind of seems like a waste at face value, that is not where I meant to go. You can actually haul some serious ass, and depending on the super, not actually waste a lot of energy, to allow you to get places that you actually otherwise wouldn't be able to pretty easily, because keep in mind how that jerks you forward and different things like that, versus what you could do typically. Just, this game is a lot of feeling, nitty-gritty, and just a lot of art, basically, just to boil it down. It's genuinely a gorgeous game from the ground up. I don't know what else I can really show you in this segment of just raw gameplay, so I'm not really going to. I am going to climb up here, because I am taking in the middle of something, and I don't like just ending off with a cliffhanger, ever. And do keep in mind that this game is designed around having a Hunter, a Titan, and a Warlock. That is actually the in-lore, in-universe group. That is the squad that always is in the thing, or always in lore, because even the Vanguard is a Hunter, Titan, and Warlock. It always works like that, and that's how they're also meant to synergize. So if you have a teammate, or if you have a friend that likes flowing, likes very good, basically Wraith from Apex, a little bit of Pathfinder, just very good movement in a FPS type of game, you can have a good Hunter. If you like a good boots on the ground, to an extent, bruiser, that is the Titan. If you have a friend that is also, or keep in mind these are two separate friends, this will be the third friend, that is very good at strategy and knowing when to place things and basically being the support, with the ability to, instead of healing, just do extra fucking damage, just constant extra damage, that is also how the support works in this game, aka the Warlock. Because the Warlock is kind of the backbone of an entire team and can really change the overall battlefield because of what the Warlock can actually accomplish with their team if they know what they're doing. Also, this game also has very interesting balancing with every single weapon. Shotguns, even in PvP or PvE, are a get in their smelling range. Where if I was, or because I was at that range, I could not do as much damage as I should have been, and I just sucked there. Damn. So even in PvP to PvE, weapons are very similar across the board, but there is some differences. Like for an example, off the top of my dome, damage values is the biggest difference because damage values are all kind of even across the board, where some exotics just do kind of more in PvE versus PvP. Like for an example, Thorn always just does a whole lot of damage, but you have to have it revved up. And to clarify, that the remnants, because the remnants themselves give you bonus damage and different things like that. Or actually, does it? No, it says it here. Excuse me, I had to burp. Which, with that bumped, it actually does 7 damage in PvP versus 1. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind that will absolutely annihilate somebody without them actually realizing what's going on. Pretty easily, because in PvP you only have 200 or 200 health ish. There is ways to finagle it because resilience actually gives you more health, and I actually didn't cover those. Shit, that's gonna be last bit for overall gameplay. Resilience gives you more health in PvE and PvP alike, but in PvE specifically, it gives you that damage reduction. And each class has their own respective thing. Titan stat is resilience. It says that right there. Or not warlocks. Hunters have mobility, which does the same thing as Titan, where it gives them their class ability, which is pretty self-explanatory. Titan is the I am the wall with or without my wall. The hunters are the I get where I want to and go from there. Like if they're sniping, if they're trying to be invisible, if they're wanting to be a melee character, like depending on what they're wanting to do, they're wanting to get in there, and their class abilities are designed around movement and extra flowing because their class abilities like give them the ability to reload and give them an extra ability charge or melee charge specifically. Where Titans are walls, Warlocks have the ability to place, and this is the Warlock, these three do not actually matter overall, and none of these stats actually matter overall, just they matter enough when you need them. Like, my recovery for this build could be 0, and it's perfect because everything is healing me with sunspots and everything else. So that doesn't really matter. And same with, I say that, because technically you don't really need a whole lot of that because of how super regen works. Same with grenade, depending on what you're doing, and that general thing. But warlocks, going back to that and why recovery is really handy for warlocks, is because they themselves are able to place a healing puddle or a damage puddle. And puddle is the best way to describe it. Said puddle can either give you constant healing and actually overhealth when you're standing in, and the moment you step out, you don't have that overhealth, just to make it balanced. But or a puddle that gives you bonus damage standing into it, where if you stand into it, shoot out, you can actually do a 15% bonus damage, which that doesn't sound like a lot, but then you pair it with an easy proc of Radiant, which is another 15, so you have 30, and then you get a debuff, which the maximum debuff is also another 30, so you're doing a 60% damage increase with any weapon, be it your rocket launcher, your scout rifle, your shotgun, or any other weapon across the board. And to show off weapons, these are all primary weapons. All primary weapons have the same general thing. They all have infinite ammo, but with good plink away, where each one is good for just rapid fire. They're not going to do as much damage as special ammo weapons, no matter what role they have, but they're going to be able to compete because of that infinite ammo. And all of these have different things, and like sidearms are in the same general range as SMGs, but SMGs are basically bullet hoses, where sidearms you have to hit targets a lot easier or a lot more consistently. Basically, SMGs are auto rifles, where sidearms can be pulse rifles or scout rifles in the respective ranges. Bows are basically low powered snipers and that general thing. And special arm weapons themselves, snipers, fusion rifles, grenade launchers, all these different weapons have unique abilities. Like, for example, grenade launchers in the special thing are not like grenade launchers in the heavy thing. Grenade launchers in the special thing have one in the magazine and less ammo in reserve, but they actually have unique mechanics like the ability to detonate at distance and that general thing to allow you to just have good versatility and guaranteed. Basically, a sniper AoE, if you want to use it like that. Uh, Sidearms are basically pocket rockets because of how they function, but all of these have limited ammo, but not as limited as swords. And each, if you did not know this, each weapon type has different drop rates. Blah. Like you, I believe, will be able to find, or you will find trace rifle ammo the most. Then it goes one of these two, I believe, and then all the others. I believe in how frequent ammo is, and you can actually build into that if you really want to with things like this. Just to clarify, because there's so many different ways to build into it, including into it as in your guns and just overall weapon play with heavy weapons, because heavy weapons can range from swords, grenade launchers, rocket launchers, linear fusion rifles, machine guns, and think of fusion rifles, the linear and non-linear variety, as rail guns. They even have a zzz, doof, zzz, doof. But linear fusion rifles are the typical zzz, doof. But the fusion rifles are basically SMGs, but with a charge up. It is a zzz, kind of thing. But same general mechanic as a linear fusion rifle, but at less range and with a burst, which has pros and cons. Like that is basically a shotgun with a charge up, and different things like that. Even in PvP, it's basically a shotgun with a charge up with more range. So that general thing. And the last thing about weapons and overall gameplay, swords are the most versatile weapon in this game. Because with a sword, you're able to jut yourself around just enough, and I do actually want to show this off. Uh, Random sword. Oh, it's even a waveframe. Waveframe swords have a unique mechanic to allow you to have some pretty cool fun. I am going to load into here while I'm talking about this. Swords function off of an ammo meter. The ammo itself seems pretty weird for a big heap of raw. Technically, this is not metal, it's bone and organic, whatever the fuck. But um, each sword is technically, think of it as a battery or a syringe. It itself is not smacking the opponent, it is releasing the energy stored with the ammo, which is why it doesn't really add up when you think about just basic sword concept. But because it has energy and uses ammo basically, it allows you to always have a guaranteed lunge, which that doesn't seem all that handy when you just see lunge, but that right there. You're able to say, oh shit, and get exactly where you want to, when you want to, at a button press. And with that, the last thing I want to talk about is buttons. Buttons matter the most, and they are the maximum thing for how this game functions and flows. Each one of these buttons is important depending on how you want to play. And if you're playing on PC, you just have the better time with this, because PC just has more buttons, ease of use, all these different things. But even on console, these are really, really important, and there is some unique mechanics. Like, for an example, I believe if you have charged and uncharged at the same melee, you will not actually at close range have, or same button specifically, have both these at the same button, you will not actually use your charged melee in close quarters, or you actually use your unpowered, unlike having this, where you always actually use your charged melee, I believe, if it's charged. But having two separate buttons allows you to have guaranteed what I want to do when I want to do it. Well, that doesn't actually work that well without a target to hit. Huh. I don't really use waveframe swords. I use basically every other type of sword because waveframe swords are actually brand new. There's only like three, and one of them is an exotic, which is unique in of itself. Okay, so I have to get closer. How do these work? Because it's You're meant to lunge and then go, ah, okay. Okay, so it's 1, 2 instantly on the same target, not a separate target. That's how it functions. That's genuinely really cool because that allows you to have a build up of constant you die now because it's swipe up and then go in there to annihilate and then you can do it back and back or repeat constantly. That's really cool because hopefully I can actually get enough ammo to show this off. Come on, spawn some ammo. Nope. Okay. With what I was trying to show, you can actually be at distance, know the range, uppercut, or yeah, uppercut, lunge forward, get distance, uppercut, lunge forward, get distance, and same, or that general thing of like, say for example, that's the enemy. You're able to get a distance, get in there, jump back, do it again, get in there, jump back, do it again. And the biggest thing, the last thing I'm going to end this off on, is strafe lift carrying momentum. Most bosses on the ground have the ability to stomp. That stomp actually moves you and gives you inertia. If you time that stomp with you activating your lift or even just jumping to get the momentum of that, you're able to fucking fly. So if you're using something like a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher in your heavy slot, you're able to just rain death while fucking flying away. And that is what I love to do, even though I didn't show that off. Um, with all that said, shown and done, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. But if you want to stick around, there's going to be 2 clips of different destinations, starting off with what you just saw there, Europa.